Hello and welcome to nickogartandcomics. Today I'll be sitting down with Mark Brown, a writer and longtime comics fan. We'll be delving into his favorite comics, H.P. Lovecraft, and the death of the author. Let's get into it. How long have you been reading comics?
I think I started around 2001. I think I was like 10 or 11, I think. Maybe 12. I'm not great at math. That's why I'm a writer.
You said your brother got you into him?
Brother-in-law. One of my sisters is like 12 years older than me, so when I was a little kid, I had like a grown-ass like brother-in-law. So yeah, he got me into Spider-Man and stuff.
Do you remember what era, like what was going on in the storylines at that time?
So I grew up poor, so I used to just raid the 50-cent comics. So I didn't buy an up-to-date comic until I was like 22.
Okay, yeah, I used to like mind the quarter bins when I was growing up too, because you could get so much more bang for your buck, you know.
I was gonna say, I remember one time I just came up with like this just fat stack of comics, and it came to like $14. And it was like, oh man, it had to be like 50 issues. I love those days. Now everybody's all into comics and they raid all the quarter and 50-cent bins, so it's just garbage now.
There's a couple issues that you'll always see in them too. Like if I had a quarter for every like Animal Man I've seen in a quarter bin.
God, or just like the endless amounts of Alpha Flight. There's always Alpha Flight, just like
up here in Canada, man.
Like
that shit's gold.
It's like in the States, like you can probably get the entire run of Alpha Flight if you just raid the 50-cent bin. No shade on Canada, man. You know, he loves Sasquatch, but you know.
Do you remember like the very first comic you got, like which issue or anything?
Yes, it was Spectacular Spider-Man 202. That is halfway through the Maximum Carnage run. And I remember it because that's the issue that cemented Spider-Man, made me fall in love with the symbiotes, and turned me on to Captain America. Because at the end of that issue, Carnage and his gang just decimate Spider-Man and the good guys, just kick their ass, kidnap Eddie Brock, and Spider-Man just like literally just crawling along the ground. He's just had the shit kicked out of him so thoroughly. And you just see like the speech bubble, like, need a hand, son? And it's Cap standing all like victorious. And it's got the moon behind his head like a halo. It just looked so kick-ass. And it really makes me think of like what Stan Lee said about every comic could be somebody's first. Because that's in the middle of a run. That's in the middle of a storyline. And it was the perfect comic for me to pick up. Just threw me right into it. I know what was going on. Ending had me hooked. And this is like a decade after that comic came out that I actually bought it.
Do you remember the creative team on that? Was it like Mark Bagley drawing at the time, or?
God, that's a good question. I honestly don't.
No.
I'm going to lose a lot of major Spider-Man points for that, but
oh man, this is why Comic Vine was made for this.
Right? I could totally like ask you to like edit it and be like, oh yeah, no, it was so and so, like Mark Grunwald and Frank Miller, the dream team. Nah, yeah.
I'll pull it up for sure. I'll throw it on the screen. I've been wanting to throw some more kind of graphic stuff, like covers of books we're talking about, shit like that. So I'll definitely throw some of
nice.
Some of the art up over this too, because I'm always interested. Like the first taste in comics is usually like pretty descriptive of like what that person's going to gravitate towards, I think, as well. Like I don't know, Spider-Man was a big favorite for me growing up, and I still collect Spider-Man.
Oh yeah. What is it about like guys that want to write comics? They're always like, yeah, Spider-Man kicks ass.
Because like you can just think of just something else horrible to happen to Peter, and then you got the start of a new storyline.
Right. One of my favorite debates is like whose life is shittier, Daredevil's or Peter's? Or I'm sorry, Matt Murdock's and Peter's. Can't lose that nerd cred. But Yeah, I love that. I love the yeah, no, just what's some awful shit we can do to Peter? Hey, there you go. New run.
Have you read the Grant Morrison's Animal Run ever?
No, but I've had friends champion it for me.
Okay, because I'm thinking about like the Coyote Gospel, and I'm wondering if that's like just if maybe Spider-Man's suffering, maybe he's just Jesus of the Marvel universe.
Marvel Universe. Yeah, he's the spider totem, man. Can't can't get away from that apparently.
So, what's your favorite comic?
Okay, so starting this out, I think I know what the name of this episode is going to be called. I think it's going to be called "Death of the Author." um, it's Warren Ellis's Planetary. Yeah, yeah.
That's a good looking book.
It is. It is. Neat story.
What
Too
issue?
bad an asshole wrote it, but good story.
What issue did you start with?
Oh, that's something I started from like the beginning. My brother-in-law like threw those in front of me.
Okay, because my
He
planetary
was
run's
like,
fucked. I've got like issue 9, I've got like issue 12, and then like the last issue.
"Oh, something I am proud of. It's I have the complete single issue collection of Planetary, which again was way cooler up till about a month ago.
Yeah, man,
But yeah,
brutal.
yeah, but no, yeah, I love Planetary. Probably after Planetary, I actually really like Secret Wars 3. Yeah,
Secret Wars 3 was the
yeah,
newer one from Marvel with like the Battle Planet stuff going on, right?
yeah. Like that whole run, so huge Spider-Man fan and huge Doctor Doom fan. You know, I think it's a lot of people have a lot of opinions on which comic book characters are the best. And if they don't say Spider-Man or Doctor Doom, they're wrong, but I respect them, you know, because Doom is just the best villain ever, the best villain ever. Do you ever hear the issue where he saved Richards' daughter?
Yeah, Valeria.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. That like the what came after it, the irredeemable Iron Man storyline was also amazing. That was a lot of fun.
yeah. I think he's such a kick-ass character, just ice cold and badass, toxic masculinity out the ass.
An entitled like rich elite royal kind of guy.
Yeah. Somebody who I hate in theory but love to read.
So who's your favorite artist?
Oh shit, that's a good question. That is an ever-changing, evolving thing. But I gotta say, damn, that's a really hard question. Uh, I look through it. Honestly, if I gotta pick one, I've really been into Junji Ito lately. Like his stuff is just fucking crazy, and I love it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he does some great stuff, and he's been going for so long, and there's such a big back catalog out there too.
Yeah,
Which
like it is just amazing like detail, and it really just the horror of it just really rips it. You know what I mean? It's just like this like feral kind of terror that I love. I don't know. Sorry, I'm gushing over. Yeah, sorry.
that's all good, man. Other than Ito, do you read any other foreign comics?
um, yeah, I used to be a real elitist douchebag about manga when I was a teenager. Like not like incel level, but I just didn't I wanted to focus on like American made comics. I'm guessing because my dad was in a union. That's what I'm going to throw out there. But yeah, really into American made comics. Didn't get into manga until till I hit about 20ish. But yeah, my ex made sure to tell me before I came on to mention that I like fruits baskets.
Okay, you kind of faded out there. You like fruit baskets.
Yeah. I my ex made sure to tell me to admit that I like that. We read a bunch of that together. Uh But yeah, no. Welcome to the NHK. I've read half of Akira. Just haven't been able to afford the other half yet. Attempted to read Tintin, and God, that was a slog. It's like I was like, oh yeah, that was a really famous French comic. I'll check it out. Just God, oh man, I do not give a shit.
There's some really spicy earlier ones too.
Oh, those are the ones I checked out.
I've got one like right up on the top of my shelf right there.
It's
I
like,
like Merge a lot, like his style at least.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think Tintin's gonna be one of those things that I get into when I'm an old man, and I'll have some like false memories of what my childhood was like that I can just project Tintin onto.
What's more unforgivable, a good story with bad art or a bad story with good art?
Oh, hands down, good story with bad art. Like, I think Rob Liefeld's proved that.
Okay.
Well, no, wait. He didn't. I apologize. My buddy gave me a comic a few years ago. It was like a modern Rob Liefeld. And the art actually looked really good. I was like, man. And story was garbage still.
So you grew up,
Yeah.
you sound like you were more of a Marvel than DC fan. Did you read a lot of Image as well, or?
Nah, honestly, man, I mostly scoured the Marvel. I'd clean the Marvel out of the bins. I picked up a few Batman, Superman. I'm a pretty big Superman fan. I like Batman. I'm okay with my relationship to Batman, but I the word overused is thrown around a lot these days, but but no, yeah, I'm definitely grew up a Marvel guy, then got into Image as an adult, kind of backed away from Marvel. Oh, and speaking of favorite comics, I forgot to mention one of the best comics ever made, Squadron Supreme. Squadron Supreme, amazing comic. Mark Grunwald, fucking excellent. So yeah, that's where I stand on that as well.
Okay.
Someone that was a good person and didn't do horrible shit.
So I know we started talking initially because of our shared interest in Lovecraft stuff. What's your favorite Lovecraft story?
Definitely the music of Eric Zahn. One I don't think gets brought up enough. That people rarely talk about that. That's such a great story when the other world like explodes through the window. Dude's feeling around in the dark. He finds Eric Zahn. He's just a fucking corpse, but he's still playing the violin. Anyone that's listening to this, fucking read it. You can find it free online. It's a great story.
And you can find it in October on my Kickstarter. That's my adaptation for next year is going to be that story.
Nice, yeah. Hell yeah!
Yeah, so I've been working on the cover and some concept art for it, but I haven't really announced it yet. But yeah, so once HPL 1921's out in everybody's mailbox, I'll be announcing the next one, HPL 1922. And yeah, it'll be.
Hell yeah, man!
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, man. That story's great, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. What's your least favorite H.P. Lovecraft work?
Medusa's Coil.
Oh yeah.
Are you familiar with Medusa's Coil?
What year is that even? I'm trying to think. That's pretty early
stuff. I don't remember the year.
Okay.
The only thing I remember about Medusa's Coil is the end. Do you remember the end of Medusa's Coil?
I don't remember Medusa's Coil at all, and I'm pretty familiar with his output. I'm just even trying to place it like in the bibliography that I have in my head of his output.
That's the one where the guy marries a woman and she ends up being a Medusa.
Wait, there's a woman in an H.P. Lovecraft story? This sounds fake.
Right? Right? Well, would you like me to ruin the ending for you?
Yeah, sure, man.
Okay, so despite all the supernatural stuff that happened, do you know what the most terrifying part was, even beyond the supernatural stuff? If you looked into her lineage, anyone that knew their anthropology could tell you that she was a black woman, and that was the scariest part.
Oh my goodness.
And he doesn't use the words black woman.
Oh man. Jeez.
Yeah, so
That's brutal.
yeah,
That might
that's
have
my least favorite.
My least favorite is that Houdini one that I like. He wrote with Houdini, and it sucks. So this one sounds like it could be even worse than that one.
I got to give the Houdini one this. It was stupid fun. Like
Yeah.
like the Houdini one made me laugh because like when he describes the paw coming out, I was like I couldn't wrap my head around what the hell he was talking about. But it's like, oh, it's just a big lion paw. Okay. And mummies are cool. I got to give it to mummies.
Oh, I love ancient Egypt. I love studying ancient Egypt stuff. Like, I love the Great Pyramids. I love Giza. I love all of it. I hate Houdini. I hate magic. And lowbrow Lovecraft is like, like as far as like him, like just for a paycheck, being like, I guess I'll write the story for Houdini if he's gonna pay me.
Just, you know what they apparently ate when they had dinner together?
No.
It was half a cantaloupe full of ice cream. That's apparently something Lovecraft loved to eat, yeah. Which is just a weird, like, pregnant wife thing to want to eat, you know?
Yeah, explains, like, his, like, pale pallor and, like, his sickliness. Like, all he eats is cantaloupes and ice cream.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, you know what, I don't know. I was, we can get into this later. This falls under death of the author. But yeah, I'm sorry. But yeah, I can see that. I don't know. I loved how hokey that one was.
How old were you when you found H.P. Lovecraft's work?
Not pretty old. I was in college.
Okay.
I didn't come across Lovecraft till I was in my early 20s. And I'm grateful I found him then as opposed to being younger, because I could definitely approach Lovecraft with a more critical eye as to where I've found that like people that grew up reading Lovecraft, they're not as hard on him as I am, because I'm an asshole to Lovecraft. Like,
you have to.
I like his writing. I don't pull any punches.
Yeah.
I believe in burning down your heroes if they deserve it.
What do you find most appealing about his work?
Honestly, oh man, that guy can do atmosphere. He can make atmosphere his bitch. Like, you want to have that brooding, like mysterious, weird fiction feeling to your stories. Lovecraft's got you covered. That's like I talked to my cousin recently about, when you read Lovecraft, he telegraphs the story like way ahead of when a normal writer would. But that's because ultimately Lovecraft's not trying to surprise you. He's not a jackass like J.J. Abrams that believes in the mystery box. I'm sure you know about the mystery box literary idea, which, well, that's a whole other conversation. But Lovecraft's not so much worried about surprising you as he is about just building that tension, you know? It's very much the Alfred Hitchcock idea of show the audience the bomb to build suspense.
Yeah, and it's more than that too. Like, most of his stories start off in first-person narration of someone who survived the things that they are going to be talking about. So you know implicitly right from the beginning, it's not fatal to the person. So what's the like? And it's something scarier than one character's survival, and that's something that is his ability to instill that is just incredible. When you think about like the personal stakes for your main character don't really play into it at all. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and that's one thing. Like, you're completely right on that. But that's also where I differ from Lovecraft as a writer, because one of the most annoying literary crutches I've ever seen a writer have is Lovecraft's ability to have all of his protagonists conveniently faint when it's really like just moves his story along. It's like there are some real fops in Lovecraft's story.
They're all as malnourished as he was, man.
Yeah.
It's what he knew.
They're all just eating.
It's what he knew.
It's like, oh no, there's tension building. I better make them faint and miraculously survive. And then the Innsmouth people almost found me. Then I passed out and woke up and they were all gone. Good story, bro. Good story. And I was Fishman. Sorry.
Oh, it's all good, man. So you had mentioned that you disagreed with some past guest characterization of the great old ones as just not necessarily evil or good, just kind of like a force of nature. So I know you wanted to expand upon that. So
okay, so I will agree that there are a good chunk of them that do fall under that umbrella. But Nyarlathotep is definitely an evil motherfucker.
Isn't he called the crawling evil? Or the shambling evil?
Like Nyarlathotep is like, he's definitely a guy that like gets off on doing evil and fucking with humans, you know?
Real Cenobite.
Yes, the OG. The OG. Although it's funny, the first story I came across him in was the Dream Quest of Great Kadath, where he's just like the Egyptian at the end of the story. And I had no idea like how fucking evil this guy was. And yeah, that's the thing. It's like Nyarlathotep is definitely a malevolent force. So I just like the literary nerd in me just like was like, you're like 90% right. But yeah, that was the one thing I had to throw in there. Also, great villain. Probably one of Lovecraft's best villains outside of crap, I forgot the name of the story. There's a story with a good villain, just don't remember the name right now. Yeah.
So what are your thoughts about separating the art from the artist?
Okay, so this is the whole reason I wanted to come on, because that's been going on a lot in the news lately. With it's actually funny because right before J.K. Rowling opened her mouth, I went on a whole tirade on somebody about how John Lennon's a cock goblin. Because John Lennon like used to beat his wife and kids and shit,
and it was a huge
and like
homophobe.
abandoned his wife and child. Used to beat Yoko. Yeah. And I apparently hit a chord with a Beatles fan who told me that I made it sound way worse than it actually was.
As a Lovecraft fan, you just have to be like, yeah, he's an asshole.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit.
If you can't,
he's a good writer.
It's not intellectually honest to do otherwise. Like,
well, it's like when J.K. Rowling opened her mouth. There was a great take. I wish I remember the Twitter account that said it, but this guy said, at least Lovecraft had the decency to fucking die before his fans had to defend his bullshit. And that's the thing. Like, the problem with like Death of the Author and stuff is, especially relating to like the J.K. Rowling and Warren Ellis, who, you know, somebody else we have to throw that title upon. Death of the Author is really, it's a literary debate, right? Because it's where when an author dies, you decide, like, people are like, well, what he wrote meant this to me, and whether or not he actually, like, you know, meant that or not, right? But the thing is like a lot of people are applying Death of the Author to shitty people, and they're taking like a literary discussion and applying it to like a moral quandary, you know? And that's the thing. It's like, I like Warren Ellis's writing. I don't like him as a person. I like J.K. Rowling's writing. I don't like her as a person either. But, you know, that's the thing, is I think a lot of fans have to keep in mind that, you know, it's okay to separate the author from their art. But something you got to keep in mind is you don't want to financially incentivize these people. You know, I'm going to keep buying Warren Ellis's writing, but I'm going to do it secondhand so he doesn't get any money out of it. You know what I mean? And that's just something that's been on my mind a lot lately. And that's kind of where I fall with Lovecraft. You know, thankfully, I can enjoy his work and not give money to just a shitty fucking racist. You know.
Yeah, the beauty of public domain.
Yes, right. Something Disney's robbed us of. But yeah, that's about my stance on that.
Cool, man. I know that you've talked about writing and stuff. Do you have any projects coming up?
Yes, I do. I'm working on it with a friend of mine. It's under the working title of The Halfway House. It takes place in the mid to late 80s. Basically, the story is, what if you took Hunter S. Thompson and just loaded him up with a shitload of coke and made him the main character of a Lovecraft story?
Nice.
It's basically like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas meets The House on the Borderlands, that old William Hope Hodgson story. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for it. It's I feel like we're gonna do really good justice to Lovecraft, but also kind of like I said, address some of my problems with Lovecraft protagonists. You know, because fainting, not the most exciting thing in a story.
Do you have any concerns about like putting this together? Do you know what size format? Is it going to be like a graphic novel? Is it going to be singles?
See, we're talking about that right now.
Gloss, matte finish.
Yeah, that's the thing. The guy I'm writing with not really used to that side of things. So what I'm hoping for is maybe do some singles and finish with a putting out a full graphic novel, because I see it as being just like a self-contained story. But right now we're working through plot and seeing where we are page-wise. So yeah.
Awesome, man. Will you be crowdfunding it, do you think? Or are you going to be pitching it around? Or what's your approach?
Definitely crowdfunding, at least for the beginning. Maybe pitch it after that, but definitely the beginning crowdfunding. We just planning on getting all that together, then putting it out there and see where it goes, you know?
Awesome, man.
Like, I really feel strongly about it. I think if I have to pay for it out of pocket, I'm going to pay for it out of pocket, you know?
Yeah, that's the only way to do it. You can't ask people to put their money down if you're not going to put yours down, you know?
Yeah.
Do you have a dream project that you would like to work on? Like if there's an IP that you could choose to just grab a hold onto and just run with? Oh,
hell yeah, Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom gets in an epic battle with Scrooge McDuck. That's the story. I'm a low-key, like, pretty big Don Rosa fan. I found out about him through the grapevine, found out he's from my hometown, so definitely really gotten into Don Rosa. Great artist, great writer. Do you know who that is?
That's the Good Duck artist?
Yes. Yeah. Well, he's the one that basically took over after Carl Barks.
Yeah. They wouldn't let him sign his name on anything, so he was always known. Oh, the good one. The good one drew this one.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, I as an American didn't have an appropriate appreciation for him until I met someone from Sweden who found out where I'm from and started talking to me about Donald Duck and Scrooge. And I was like, that's a thing? That's my hometown's like connected with that? That's weird.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for...
go on.
Oh, no, you go on, dude. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you're fine. I was just going to say thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. I was just going to thank you very much for coming on Nico Art and Comics. Sitting down with us talking Lovecraft and comics. And yeah, thanks very much, Mark. It was a blast. And keep on making comics. And I can't wait to see what you come forward with this Lovecraft story.
You too, sir. Cannot wait to see your stuff. Your wraparound looked amazing. Just want to throw that out there for your audience.
Awesome, man. Well,
so be excited for that, people.
Thanks again for coming on the show, Mark. It was great talking to you. Next week's episode, we'll be changing it up here at Nico Art and Comics. I'm going to be doing an overview of my favorite comic. It's called Throat Baby. It's possibly one of the weirdest, most transgressive stories ever published in heavy metal. Stay tuned.